It's time to get your geek on with Dave Vermillion.
She was here in San Antonio not too long ago at the Alamo City Comic-Con, where Goose sat with her and Henry Simmons at a panel. And we are more than pleased, we are honored and indeed humbled to welcome in, you can call her, she's known as YoYo or Elena Rodriguez on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Done so much work, really that career is starting to really catch fire. Please welcome in Natalia Cordova-Buckley. How you doing? Uh-oh. Natalia, how you doing there? I don't know if... Do we have her? Let's try one more time. Natalia, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, there we go. Welcome to the show. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you guys for having me.
Now, our first question right out of the gate, when are we getting that Avengers 4 trailer? Surely you know. You have to have some inside knowledge. We're dying here.
Oh, I wish I did. I know as much as any of you guys. I don't even know what the next episode on my own show is about, let alone what Avengers is doing.
Well, that's Disney is known for their secrecy and their security, so they're keeping it under very tight wraps. Now, you actually reconsidered being an actress before Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came along. What convinced you to stay on and make a career out of it?
Well, it wasn't. I think it's been misconstrued from one single interview I gave. I never considered dropping being an actress. I just was considering taking some time off and maybe focusing on something else. I don't think, once you fall in love with doing something or you feel like you're born and meant to do it, that you can leave it. It's almost like air to your existence. But I did consider stopping because I was. It just started to be very difficult for me to. I got into this career because I loved the craft. I loved acting, the power, the fame, the money, all of those. If there are consequences of my job, then so be it. But I was just starting to get really disheartened on the industry and the way it handles certain aspects of itself. So it was more of me saying, I'm a little bit hurt right now, and I need to take some time off to not get jaded within my craft and my career. So I did take some time off, and it was that month of thinking and, really connecting back to the reason why I even started doing this that got me to come back. And I thought maybe, when I got the audition, that might be the last audition I would do for a while. I would take some time off, maybe a year or so, and I got it. So I think it was a sign of the universe of sort of, testing me and seeing how much I'm willing to do to get to where I want to get to.
Now, despite not meeting him, do you think that there was any influence from your grandfather, Pancho Cordova, because he was a very famous actor? Do you think that there was any influence? Did you think about his career and his time in acting?
I did get to meet him. The only thing is that he passed away when I was really young, and by the time I was born, he was already sick with Alzheimer's, so he never really got to know me or even be aware that he had a granddaughter, because all of his grandchildren were males before me. So I did get to meet him, and I remember instances with him, but I just didn't get to really know him. And of course, I believe he's had a huge influence on me because of my love for acting. And when I started doing it, knowing that he was an actor, brought a lot of questions and curiosity as to, am I similar to him? To my father and his sisters see their dad in myself. So there was a lot of, talking to them and asking them and watching his movies and contacting his friends from back in the day and wanting to hear about anecdotes and stories about his time as an actor. And thankfully, my father kept a lot of his writing and a lot of movies, not just movies of him as an actor, but movies of him as a person. And I got to read a lot about him and study a lot of his life and just realize that we had really similar paths and that I didn't know we did. And, his career was a career of incredible integrity and ethics and even though there's this notion that somehow actors are gods and different to other people, he was always such a humane person to everyone, and giving, and perhaps the hardest worker. Every person I interviewed about him that had worked with him said that it was really just almost unreal how hard he worked. He wrote over 100 and something scripts in his lifetime.
Wow.
The movies that he directed, he would write them, produce them, direct them, act in them, write the music for them. He was just an all-around lover of his art, and I think that's what I'm most proud that I inherited from him, that it's the reason why we do has nothing to do with outside consequences, but with the love of living other lives and telling stories and moving people, and really what the craft is about. So, of course, there's a huge influence of him within me.
Now, we're not looking for any spoilers. We don't want leaks. We don't want hints. We don't want that, believe me. But what we would like is for you to describe a day in the life of being an actress on the set of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
A day in the life, describe. I'll drive in, and Karen Garcia, who is our base camp PA, greets me. She's a dear friend, and she's Mexican like I am, Mexican-American, and a dear friend, and that smile welcomes me every day. And then I walk into the makeup and hair trailer, and it's full of women I admire and love. And then I walk onto set, and it's full of a crew I'm absolutely in love with and who I love working with. So a day in my acting career in S.H.I.E.L.D. right now is just being really grateful that I have a job, because there's so many actors out there that would kill for my opportunity and who deserve it perhaps even more than me sometimes. So it's just, filled with gratitude and with more than anything, lessons and a lot of learning. This is what I love to do. So I'm really grateful that I've got people around me that are willing to answer my questions when I ask them about, whatever scene we're doing, the effects or the camera work or the sound or all of that. I just love going in and learning. It's been a wonderful learning experience. So it's just very exciting, and I get to do what I love and play pretend and play as if I have superpowers. I mean, what else could you want in a job, right?
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Was there a scene that you were in where it was particularly challenging for you, maybe physically, or it was just the lines you couldn't get them right, or was there a particularly challenging scene for you?
I always speak about this one scene that Henry Simmons and I had to do at the end of season 4, when YoYo goes into the framework to try to get him out, convince him to come back. And it's the scene where his daughter, who's been placed there by Madame Hydra in the framework to keep him in the framework, disappears because she's not real. She's passed away in real life. So, the framework starts to disappear and it starts to disconnect, so things around us start to disappear. And it was a highly emotional scene where I'm pleading for him to come with me, and he's telling me, no, I won't leave my daughter behind. So we were both incredibly emotional, but had to keep the emotionality going, even though they were asking us to pause, because they would have to, mid-crying and, snot coming out of our nose and drool out of our mouth, they would say pause and have to get all these pieces of furniture out of the room to make it look like in the next shot things have disappeared. So we would literally have to pause the tears, and then they would yell action again, and we would have to be in the same exact level of emotion. So that was emotionally a really challenging scene, and one of my favorites, because I think being a classical dancer has made me a bit of a masochist, in the sense that the more you beat me up at work, the better I feel I did. The more I bleed, the more broken bones you have. That's a bit of how dancers are. So yeah, that's my favorite scene, because it was really, really challenging.
We're speaking with Natalia Cordova-Buckley, from the powerhouse actress from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. here on Get Your Geek on Freedom 1160 AM KRDY in San Antonio. Do you watch any of the other Marvel shows, Daredevil, Iron Fist, any of those?
I've watched Daredevil and Luke Cage. I haven't finished them, but I've watched enough to know the shows. Yes.
Now, some of them they've already been canceled. They're already off of Netflix. Was there any worry? I mean, now we know that y'all have been extended through 2020, but was there ever any real worry that they were going to axe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well?
Well, I think for a lot of people, in this business, it's worrisome because the jobs are scattered all the time. You might go on for a year without a job, and sometimes you have the blessing, like many of us, to be on a show for a long time. So there's always that preoccupation of, are we going to come back? But honestly, an actor's career is so up and down that I just don't succumb to that fear anymore. I speaking your first question about me thinking of retiring from acting, there's so much rejection within our career and ups and downs that if you fall into that fear, you'll constantly live in a state of panic of probably not having another job, and it's an energy of desperation. So I just look up at the universe and say, whatever you're ready to bring, I'm ready to receive. So, if it was supposed to go away and be taken away, then that was what was wanted, and everything happens for a reason. And if not, then we're happy because I get to spend time with people I love working with again. So it's all good. Either way, it's supposed to happen, whatever's supposed to happen.
Now, this is where we ask you to kind of butter our bread a little bit, because you were just down here Halloween weekend down in San Antonio for the Alamo City Comic-Con. Can you describe your experience while you were down here, what you enjoyed, how it was, the con and the city itself?
I didn't get to see the city at all, but the parts I saw, I loved. We have no time. I got there at Friday night, worked all Saturday, part of Sunday, and, came back to work Sunday night so I could be in by Monday morning. So sadly, I saw very little of the city, which I've heard is beautiful, and I hope to go back to. But the parts I saw, I loved. I thought it was a beautiful city, and the people are wonderful. And the con was just as wonderful as the city and the people, Nothing in this world that we experience as humans is defined by the experience. It's defined by the people of that experience, because that's the energy, and the energy was wonderful and lovely, and it's just really a blessing to be able to greet and thank the people that have supported your show and supported your career. It's something I'm very grateful that I get to do, is look at the people, the fans in the eyes, and say to them, it's not because of us that we're on air. It's because of you guys. And I think that's always, it's very important nowadays to give worth to each other and give belonging to each other. And we're very privileged to have this job, and the way we're paid and the way we're treated is of high privilege, and I believe hopefully we can extend that to more people more and more in this world. And this is my way of saying thank you guys for being with us and for believing in us and keeping us alive. And it's something that's very important to me. So I always have a great time meeting all the people that love this show as much as I do.
All right. Well, I think we can declare it here first. The next time she swings down to San Antonio, we got to do like a carpool karaoke on 410 or something. I mean, we got to show her around. There's no way. I refuse to let you leave this city next time without seeing some of the sights.
I know a Lyft driver.
Okay.
You know a Lyft? That's right. We know a Lyft driver. Minion can take care. Oh, this would be fantastic. Carpool karaoke with YoYo. It'll be awesome.
Oh, we'll do that. That'll be so much fun. I'll be happy to do that.
Now, Natalia, we want to thank you for taking the time out. We do have one last question. You're super busy, and just being able to talk to you, it's humbling. It really is. Very glad that you were able to take the time out here. Oh, trust me. And and then I get to tell my wife that I spoke to Elena Rodriguez. She's going to kill me. She's going to be like, oh, you did? Oh, she loves you. She absolutely adores you.
Well, tell your wife that whatever she sees in me, she only recognizes it because it lives in her. So, we're regular people, even though we do pretty extraordinary jobs and all that. It's as humbling to me to speak to someone like you as you're saying it is to speak to me. So,
thank you so much.
We're just reflections of each other.
Now, last question here. You've said recently that the women in Hollywood are, and to use your words, unstoppable now. What do today's efforts mean for actresses tomorrow?
Well, the efforts is that, as we've heard now multiple stories, not only of sexual harassment, but of abuse of power of men toward women or anyone, of whomever, it's genderless. Just, I think we're facing in the world a unveiling of abusers of power. Whatever gender, race, whatever it may be, but we're unveiling people that we've empowered and that whose humanity is not at the level of the power we've extended to them. And I think that's very important to better this world, is to start empowering people who want the power to give it back and not to hoard it. And yes, women are unstoppable because we have been a group of people in this world that have been highly minimized and made less than, and it's come from a culture called patriarchy, and which has infected the whole world. It's infected women too. It's harmful to us all because it only divides us. So when I say that women are unstoppable, I mean kind women are unstoppable. The women that are willing to, as we've done for many years now, decades and centuries, protect everyone and fight for everyone and fight for everyone's rights. Those women are unstoppable. And now that we feel like we've got each other's back, which was a way to keep us in control before, was pinning us against each other. Now, social media, that's where it spread the light. Social media is what we make it out to be. It can be incredibly negative, but it can also be positive. And it's a way to spread our light and to tell each other we belong, and to tell each other we believe each other, and to tell each other that we're there for each other, to tell each other that we have each other's back. And I think that feeling of belonging and sisterhood is what's unstoppable. It's not women, but the belonging we're giving each other that's unstoppable.
And I think now we can officially add you to being absolutely unstoppable. Natalia, you were a delightful guest. Thank you so much for calling in. We're going to be looking forward to a lot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then we'll put you in some Marvel movies at some point, too. We got to do that.
Well, may it go to God's ears from your mouth, because I don't know if that'll ever happen, but it would be another dream come true. So call them up and let them know I'm in.
You're right. Thankfully, we do have Kevin Feige on speed dial. So, we're just going to...
Well, then just call him.
Absolutely.
Let him know.
All right. Thank you so much, Natalia. You have a good rest of the night.
It was a pleasure talking to you guys, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.